get started. Thank you for coming, everyone. I very much appreciate it. My name is Jen Higginbotham. I'm the president of the Holy Cross Neighborhood Association. This is one of our quarterly meetings. We have a couple of speakers on the agenda. We'll be going through things just kind of like we typically do tonight. First off, I want to thank our hosts, as always, the Cap Indy Center. They've been very nice about letting us have our meetings here and use their equipment, and this has been a great place for us to gather. I want to remind everybody that the meeting is being recorded. I will post it after the meeting on YouTube for any neighbors who can't join us that would like to know what's going on. That'll be on our YouTube page. And as far as conversations go, we do have a couple of topics that we're going to have some presenters on today. We can take some Q&A, but if the conversations start to get really deep, we're going to ask that people either kind of move it to a side conversation, or, we can kind of figure out how we want to continue that conversation later so that we can get through the items on our agenda and we can make sure to get you guys out on time. If you want to dig into the details, you can join the association board. That's open to anybody in the neighborhood. They meet in the months before this meeting just to see if there's anything else going on that we need to spearhead. Tonight we have two guest speakers. One is Clarence Underwood. He works for JQOL, who's working with Indigo on the Blue Line. There he is. He's over here. It's like, I didn't think he was here quite yet, but I knew he was coming. And then we're also going to hear from our neighbor, Allie, about short-term rentals. And then we also have can I get this thing to go away at the top? There we go. We also have a lineup of reports that we'll be giving about different things that are going on in the neighborhood. So those will come a little bit later in the meeting, and then we'll talk about some upcoming events. So as usual, we're going to start with our guest speakers. I do want to note that I reached out to everybody who we usually invite to this meeting. Our friends, the officers, Stacy and Ronan, they couldn't be here tonight. They had some conflicts. They had to be at some other things, but they said, as usual, please reach out to them. If you ever have any concerns or have anything that you need to talk over, they're more than happy to be available for that. They just couldn't make the meeting tonight. They're almost always here, which is amazing. But tonight was a conflict. Also, Jesse Brown, our counselor representative, couldn't be here tonight, but he also said if anybody has any questions or concerns or anything going on, he very much encourages everybody to reach out to him. So just letting everybody know about that. And then we'll go ahead and get started with our speakers. So I didn't have any slides for you. I don't know if you, okay. So I'm going to call Clarence on up here to just sort of speak at the podium and give us an update on the Blue Line.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here on behalf of Indigo Blue Line Construction. As of now, I can assure you that you've noticed that the drive approach on Washington Street has been closed. That's the most immediate impact. That will be fixed and repaired and poured back within a couple of weeks. I would say beginning of September, maybe the first or second week of September. I want to just briefly go over the impact that are going on between Southeastern and State, as I know this is you guys' main areas of the association. So right now, from Southeastern to State Avenue, Washington Street, obviously is closed to eastbound traffic. They just poured back the intersection to State not too long ago. The State intersection was closed. That has been poured back. And now they shifted the lane traffic from State to the southernmost lane, from State to Southeastern. That's the most up-to-date, lane shift as far as, from Southeastern to State goes. They are now currently working on Oriental, getting some storm sewer, getting that trunk line poured back. We have been in contact with Horner. We've had to widen their drive approach just for some sanitary issues and reconfigurations for utilities as well. We've also been in communication with the Damien Center. I know a lot of people were upset with, the trees that were just recently placed and planted. They have been removed for sanitary as well. But we've been in contact with them and, they were okay with it. Right now, that is the main update as far as what's going on between this segment. Are there any questions? Anybody? So the ramp is actually not a Blue Line project. That is NDOT. So I don't have any details on that. So the section between Washington Street, um, that is that's gonna run into 2027. I can assure you that. They will be starting from State to Emerson um, on or after August 24th, really in a couple of days. So it won't go all the way to Emerson. They will stop at Hamilton. We'll let CEG and other utilities get prepared between Hamilton and Rural so we can come in and continue doing our construction activities.
I don't think we can answer that, because Washington's closed. So, I live on Arsenal Avenue. It's telling the truckers to come down Market and go up Arsenal. We've had 18 wheelers. Just get stuck trying to turn, go out there. They're asking us for directions because they don't. Is there any way? Somehow, there is signage, I think, but it's obviously not seen. For the most part, they're getting around the corner by a couple of cops.
Yeah.
Or going.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something I think it's going to do with assisting.
I mean, honestly,
Or go down Market, but the Arsenal, we're having a hard time getting around the corner there and stuff. Or acting direction. I haven't. I just didn't think that. What I put anything on Google, so they all say Google Maps and send it this way. So, and for the most part, it's fine, but there have been a couple of times where we're struggling to give us all. Yeah, I think if there's the signage there, I think it says not to, but it needs to be better.
And I've run into this problem with Circle City that's right here in Washington. I'm in contact with in constant contact with their manager, and they come with the same issue as well. Highland is so narrow, and they come through that backside. So, and we have, yeah. I mean, the only other option I can really suggest is finding a wider street to use as a detour. Maybe, yeah. So.
They keep down on their GPS. There is a difference between GPS you have with your car and a professional, like 18 years. And if they buy the actual GPS for service, it does not ever take them down this list. There is a number actually painted vertically on that. Yeah. That can be ordered to. I'll have to give the exact right contact, but to the state, and that can be a complaint against their commercial license. Yeah, this one they'll be happy. They're not happy. We're not happy. Just when they get stuff. It can be hard to go find to Indy.gov and the tractor. You can ask for a tractor copy, not for much, then don't come in for a day. Yes. Sorry,
No problem. And I would advise, I see a lot of semis that use the detour that's already in place. So Southeastern, you take Southeastern down up on the state and then you can turn back. I've seen a lot of semis do that. So that's definitely still, it exists. So no problem. Any other questions? No? All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you. I'm just gonna say real quick for anybody who watches this video later, there was a question about semis coming off the interstate, going down Market, getting stuck at Arsenal. And it sounds like we've now tried to report it to Jesse Brown, our counselor, and other people can report to that. And then Rosemary, our neighborhood advocate, is gonna look into it as well. So moving on to our next speaker. We have Allie is going to tell us about some resources that we have for short-term rentals.
Okay, hi friends. Can you hear me okay? Okay, sweet. So, all right. So I'm here to talk about disruptive short-term rentals or just short-term rentals in general. I'm gonna play this video really quick. It'll take a few seconds. So yes, this is right in our neighborhood. Very close to yours truly. Believe it or not, this continues for another 2 full minutes. So you can see the timestamp. This was almost a year ago. Obviously, this is a very extreme example of a disruptive Airbnb. But it's one of the main reasons I wanted to come up and present this to the larger neighborhood, because we all live here. We love our community. We want to, we have a vibrant community that we want other people to be able to enjoy as much as we enjoy. I'm not going to read through every single bullet point on these slides. This is just for you guys to look through, and maybe if you want to review the video later, go for it. But essentially, recognizing that this is a residential area and we have people that are living, working, playing, and we want to keep it safe, right? Me personally, I love Airbnbs as a customer, right? I love getting into a new city, being able to explore it like a local. And I think that, at least for me, I speak for myself, that's something that I want other people to take away from India as well and be in our neighborhood. But I think that the main point is that we need to foster this sense of mutual respect, right? Love our city the way we love our city. So there's obvious challenges with short-term rentals. There's the neighborhood impacts of, the normal things, noise, street congestion, safety. And unfortunately, there's a lot of lack of policy to empower residents and neighbors to protect themselves when things go awry, like in the example I showed. Really, there's truly nothing. I mean, we have a short-term rental registry that exists, and they're supposedly required to be on in order to operate. But doing a quick look, we have found that there's over 50 listings in our neighborhood of short-term rentals, and this is through manual just combing of the of Airbnb, comparing it to the map of registered short-term rentals, and there's less than 20. So we have 50 listings, only 20 of which are recorded on the registry. Obviously, short-term rentals and their investors, especially if they aren't local, are taking away a residential opportunity, for actual homeowners and renters as well. So that's just a little bit of an overview of some of the context around this topic. This has been a very slow going process. So like I said, that example that I showed was last year. I've been wanting to kind of collect information, and build up more resources before presenting it to the wider neighborhood. But really, I think we've just gotten to the point where, after speaking with Rosie and other people who have some knowledge on the topic, they're like, really, it comes down to collective effort, I guess, working together as a neighborhood to be reporting to Airbnb And really, honestly, this topic takes a lot of effort to have conversations, to find out what existing policy is, to even connect with other communities that have dealt with this, like Fountain Square, like Old North Side. So it just takes a lot of time, and Josh and I are only 2 people. So I think that ultimately we want to build a support network where when occurrences happen, people who opt into being kind of like a neighborhood watch, where it's like when a disturbance is happening, we'll text the group and be like, hey, contact Airbnb all at the same time about the same incident so we can build a stronger paper trail. Then my goal is to create a centralized information hub. So like develop a website that has instructions on what to do, who to go to, stuff like that. Eventually, maybe we'll be able to share this map, of listings, and be able to share news and updates. Trini, I will get back to you as when I have time. And then another thing is that maybe once we've collectively gathered all of this information, we'll hopefully be able to continue working with local government to I don't know, just get some governance, get something that we can actually back ourselves with when it comes to holding people accountable. So there is a form here. It's just a Google form right now. It's only to collect your information if you're interested on learning more about the topic, because I have a lot to say and not really a lot of time to share it right in this moment, but we'd love to keep people updated. They're very interested in this. This email is also just a general email I'm using to collect inquiries and stuff. So please contact me so that we can continue developing this. If you want to contribute to building this network and information hub, I would greatly appreciate the support and help. I also wanted to share really quickly what you can do right now. And the most effective thing, and really the only channel we have available, is to call Airbnb neighborhood support. So this is a phone number that's very difficult to find on your own. This will get you to an actual person, and they will take the information in real time. Supposedly they have connections to local law enforcement and stuff like that. So they'll research and do their thing. Personally, especially if it becomes an actual ordinance issue, like, noise ordinances past 11 p.m., blah, 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 or they're obstructing traffic or whatever, I call the non-emergency IMPD line. Obviously, if it's an emergency, someone's help or someone's hurt, call 911. But for this kind of thing, I consider a non-emergency, and they do respond pretty quickly, at least within the hour. So we tell them what's going on, another way to get a paper trail, and specifically ask them to give you the pad number. That's the record number of your call. So they'll come, and if it's a party that's a huge disturbance, they'll shut it down. If you are not able to respond in real time, that's going to be on the left side of the slide. You can submit just a general ticket to Airbnb, and they'll follow up with you. And then I also, depending on what it is, will submit a ticket to the Mayor's Action Center as well, because if they are not a registered Airbnb, then they will be notified. So as far as I know, at this time, when I ask them to look into licensing or registration, they say we give them a grace period about 90 days. And then I don't know what happens afterwards, but that's what I was told. So that's some information for you guys. VRBO is another very popular platform. Unfortunately, there's not really live support channels, but you can still create a report, might as well. And like I said, the landlord registration program is on indy.gov. If you have questions, that is the email address that you can write to as well. So the question was, how do you know which platform they're listed on? Honestly, you don't. The only way that the most popular one is Airbnb. There's all sorts of other smaller platforms. I would say the next biggest one is VRBO. There's tons of other ways that people can list their property for rent of any kind, but these are going to be the 2 most consistent ones. And oh, I just lost my train of thought. But anyway, good question. For me and Josh, we just honestly go online, sometimes we'll talk to the people that are there, because we have a lot of great tenants that come and visit the city. Like, they're respectful, they love it. We love sharing things that we love about Indy with them. And they've just literally told us, they're like, oh yeah, we did this on VRBO, or we did this on Airbnb. this is a complete side note, but one thing that we heard consistently by the guests that we do talk to is they're like, for some reason, this listing, they don't vet us. It was an immediate acceptance of our booking. And for people that come from states that have a little bit more regulation, they're used to being vetted. They're used to being approved for the booking. So that's one step that we know that Airbnb hosts can take to be a little bit more conscientious about who they're renting to. So that's the kind of thing that Airbnb doesn't enforce, but and quite frankly, hosts aren't required to by our local laws and ordinances. So that's the kind of thing as an example of one thing that we could advocate for as a neighborhood and as a community. This isn't the first time that someone's brought this up. I know that other communities have made this effort before, so there's a lot to learn. I think if anyone knows of anybody that has been involved in that, please connect with us, because I want to learn what's been tried before and see what our challenges are, and see where we can go from there. So I think that's pretty much it. Here's a more detailed slide just for you guys to have. Take screenshots, take pictures from what the many times that we've done when reporting Airbnbs. This is everything that Airbnb asks you for. The more information you can provide, the better. Again, calling out that the pad report is very helpful. And yeah, all of this information is stuff as an example of what I want to put on the information hub. So there's a lot more details that we can share, if you want to come talk to me afterwards. But other than that, I hope to see you guys contacting, and we'll share more information as we get it. So yeah, Trini. So the question was long-term properties. So these are long-term rentals. That's not really a part of this particular effort. I want to make sure that we keep the scope pretty narrow because this is a kind of specific topic. I think long-term renters are an entirely different use case.
Renters and their fire. They parked on that back then, we cleared out the street. And it was 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, when it comes to residents, because I would consider a long-term renter as a resident, right? I think that we always run the chance, no matter where we are, that we have a neighbor that loves to have a good time. And we had a neighbor that partied all the time too. The thing is that we were able to develop a relationship with them and be like, hey man, like, we're just trying to sleep. Can you turn your music down? And they did, I know that that's not always the case, but ultimately that's the goal and the spirit that I want to carry. Like, again, this is more about mutual respect and sharing of our spaces. So I don't want it to seem like we're here to combat and shut down Airbnb hosts. In fact, if there are any local hosts and owners, we'd love for them to be a part of this conversation, because it's like, we want this to be beneficial to everybody, right? Like, we have a lot of community resources and we want it to be shared. So yeah, I do think that, like, I don't know if a part of this effort is to just come up with like a, a good neighbor agreement or something, where it's kind of like, hey, as a community, these are standards that we collectively agree on, and we want to hold each other accountable to this as neighbors, but also then we can present that to guests of our community too. That's just an idea. I've seen it around. I don't know how people feel about it. I think the thing about me is that I don't want to be policing our neighbors. Like, I don't think anyone really wants to be part of a formal HOA that has a ton of rules and blah, 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 that we all have to comply to. So that's not really the goal either. But I think it just comes that we want to maintain the spirit of collective harmony, I guess. So yeah, any other questions?
The idea that do this with neighbor bases.
Yeah.
Many of these properties are from other countries.
Yeah, yeah.
I've set up one in our neighborhood.
Mm.
And I was dealing with a local health center in India.
Mm. Yeah.
Clearly it was not gonna you know, be more selective, is not going right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that regardless of what efforts we're wanting to move towards, we do have to request those most basic steps first, you know? So yeah, did you have something, Cliff?
Time for you to finish that.
Yeah, no, I think that's all I have to say about that, but
You mentioned that Indy conflict resolution is actually here in our neighborhood, just next door at the Indy Public Safety Foundation.
nice.
Or if it's a neighborhood, problem and you know your neighborhood that you are having problems with, contact the Public Safety Foundation, talk to them and ask, I want to talk to conflict resolution, and they will mediate between neighbors.
Nice. Good to know.
Yeah, we'll take one more. I knew this was gonna be a hot topic, but we'll take one more and then we'll get together after.
John.
Yeah, I was just curious, I don't have a chance to yet, sounds like you're still doing exploratory things. But have we reached out to other neighborhoods who have fought this, who have fought with local walls? Obviously, I don't know if Indianapolis has a bunch of walls in the book, but places like you mentioned Denver earlier, has done a lot to around this now has very good positive relationship with every, you know. So have we reached out to anyone else? There's a plan to, or?
Yeah, no, I think that definitely is in the works. It should be because, yeah, it's like we need to kind of mimic the efforts of successful orgs. Obviously, outside of our state is probably a good way to go because our state itself doesn't have a lot of infrastructure for this. So, yeah, I think that talking to local efforts to see what challenges they've come across, and then talking to other, you know, communities outside of Indiana, I think is definitely on the agenda, but definitely could use help. Again, if anyone has any connections, to the topic, even outside of Indy, let us know. Like, go back to that, go back to here, this email address or submit to the form. So yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. And if you need to catch anything on those slides, like I said, it'll be on YouTube by tomorrow, so. Now we're gonna get into our neighborhood reports. We have a few things to go over. First off, I'm just gonna give a quick little update of a couple of things that have come up recently. We have installed some electrical on the Sturm Esplanade. I feel like I might have mentioned it last time, but it wasn't active yet. It's still not active, but it sounds like we're getting closer to that actually having live power available. It will be secured, so there will be some sort of lock on it. We're not sure what it will be yet, but we're going to keep it somehow secured so that we can access it for neighborhood events. And you know, if somebody has a request and they want to try to use it, we could try to talk to you about that, see what that looks like. The bills will be coming to the neighborhood association. So anyway, we don't have like a super strict policy in place right now. We'll kind of see how things go now that it's finally almost ready to use. We'll probably use it. Hopefully it'll be ready to go. We can use it for like our chili cook-off later in the year. And yeah, we'll see. Another thing I just wanted to mention in the neighborhood is that we had a request from our neighbors in Willard Park that the Fire Station 11 up on Washington Street reached out to them to say that they have some carcinogenic equipment and they wanted to do some more filtration in a room that they store that equipment in. And they were wondering if some neighborhoods could support them by donating some money to help toward that goal. We haven't donated it yet. I'm waiting on them to tell us like who we would donate it to, but the officers did discuss it. And we thought that that was an okay way to try to help out our local firemen. But Amanda also has reached out to Jesse to try to figure out why this isn't something that the city's taking care of, because we hope that our taxes are keeping our firemen safe. So we're following up on that. But anyway, it's an expense. It's not a huge expense, but it's seems like a well-spent expense to help a local firehouse. And now I'm going to turn it over to Renee. She's got several updates that she's going to go through.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay? I know the HVAC is loud. Okay, so our balance total, as you can see, is higher than it's been in the past. We actually closed our investment account. We were notified in July they were going to start charging us $75 a month because our balance was too low. So we closed that account and we're going to do some investments. We're looking at it actually as buying CDs on a rolling basis with the same amount we had in that investment account, see how that goes, and then we'll go from there. So Of the amount we have in our account, a little over 23,000 is restricted for things like the signal box painting, the gateway sign project, the maintenance fund for the park sculpture, and a wine and cheese starter fund so that we can pay bills for wine and cheese before we have maybe some of the funds coming in. We have some standing fundraisers. We have Kroger Community Awards, our neighborhood signs, and merch that you can buy with the neighborhood logo on it. We are QR codes over here for any of those items if you're interested. If you have a project or funds you would like to request, there is a form on our neighborhood website. You can go to the site, go navigate to foundation, and there's the link is right there. We, as a foundation, vote at every meeting on anything that's come in. So we might have questions for you so that we can vote on it. And bless you. And then funds are either approved or potentially not approved, depending on what the request is. Recently completed initiatives, the Wine and Cheese Festival and the Cluster Truck Dine to Donate are recently completed. Active projects are utility pole sign replacements. That's one of our active projects. The signal boxes along New York Street, you may have seen that some of them are being primed now, so they're getting started. Art in the park. Some of you have seen Susan out there doing art in the park for some of the young folks. And then we're starting something new called Block Ambassadors, and I'll get to that. Things coming up, the chili cook-off, the holiday party in December. We have some folks who've been interested in starting something sort of like the Friends of Garfield Park, but the Friends of Highland Park. So that's something some folks are interested in starting. We're going to start the signal box replacement along Michigan Street. And then the Clean team has let us know that they probably need some additional items. So we'll be talking to the Clean team about what else they would need. If you're interested in helping on any of the projects that are listed here, you can email us at foundation@indyholycross.org to get involved with some of these projects. Any questions on any of that? Okay, so block ambassadors. We've got a lot of new folks and we're kind of spread out. So we had been talking about having kind of a smaller scale way for folks to know what's going on and maybe have a cheerleader to let people know when there's interesting things to do or initiatives going on. And when some of the neighbors did the flyers for the Dine to Donate for Cluster Truck, it was kind of our test of how that might work. So it's really just trying to get people more involved beyond the QR codes we have around the neighborhood and the word of mouth and the email lists, the newsletters. We're looking for ideas and suggestions on this initiative. So if you have any ideas or you would like to help shape this initiative, email us foundation@indyholycross.org. The map on here was our cluster truck map, by the way, that Josh made. Okay, any questions on anything foundation? Okay, folks, Wine and Cheese Festival. First of all, thank you. Thank you, like everybody, thank you. From the planning team members to our sponsors, silent auction donors, volunteers, people that rallied other people to come. If you connected us with sponsors or silent auction donors, thank you. If you were on the team that helped plan the festival, will you please stand up? Haley. There were a lot of people. There were probably about 15 people that worked on this diligently. So thank you, but thank you to everyone. This couldn't happen without everyone. So this year, raise your hand. How many people were able to make it to the festival? So in case looking around, you don't like, gosh, there's a lot of hands. I think we were up about 20% attendance wise over what we'd seen in previous years. I think the reason for that is the weather was really, really nice. I don't think we can always expect that many people to come when it's not that nice. I think our cluster truck promotion made a big difference. I asked several people who said they had not come before, and I asked how they heard about us, and they said there was a flyer on their cluster truck. And we did some great social media cross-marketing this year. So I think all of those things contributed. Our expenses were lower than forecasted. We had a lot of in-kind donations again this year. We had lower costs in several areas. We had budgeted a certain amount. We were able to get significantly lower costs on some things. Some things were discounted, and because we're tax exempt, that actually saved us around $2,000 of our costs. And then we also met or exceeded our income goals in all areas this year. What does that mean? Our ticket income was about $10,000 over what we projected. And again, I think part of that was because it was so nice. If you remember last year, it was 95 and humid. I don't know that we would have had that same crowd had it been like that. Other income was about $2,000 over projected. Our bar costs were $3,000 lower than we forecasted because of the deals we were able to get on items. Our administrative costs were about $2,000 lower than forecasted. Cheese Wars was $2,000 lower than forecasted, and our general equipment rentals were about $1,000 lower than forecasted. This resulted in around a $30,000 profit this year. I was nerding out in spreadsheets over the weekend, guys. So this is just some numbers for you guys to check out. We've been doing this as our 4th year, and just looking at this is income of year over year, how we've grown. I thought it was pretty cool. You might notice the pre-sale tickets this year were about $9,300. That's quite a bit higher than we've seen in the past. So budget versus actual, this is not final. We have a few things still coming in, couple of invoices, couple of matching donations, but this kind of shows you what we had budgeted to have for our income, expenses, and profit, what our actuals were, and then what those differences were, just so you can kind of see how we ended up so much higher with our profits than we had originally forecasted what we would have. So what does this mean? Well, we met as a foundation group actually right after the festival, and we've determined that as a foundation group, we are going to focus on the Wine and Cheese Festival as our main income generator and our main fundraiser for the neighborhood. So we're going to spend less time going after grants. What we are finding is that when we go after grants, what we're asking for is a want, not a need. So we're not being approved for grants. So it's a lot of effort being spent. So we're going to stop going after the grants. And we're going to have fewer other fundraisers unless they're passive or low effort, like the items I mentioned on the QR codes. So we won't be spending a lot of people's time in the neighborhood for fundraising other than asking for help with the Wine and Cheese Festival. We also have some initiatives that people have had great ideas on, but we didn't have the funding for. We can start to move forward with some of those now. We can also begin to invest and have an endowment or a legacy for the neighborhood. We don't have to go year to year on things. We can actually do some investing and have some bigger picture items. What does it not mean? We're not going to spend the money carelessly. We're going to plan. We're going to be careful. We're going to plan for the future. We're going to start planning for next year pretty soon. We're actually meeting as a team on Monday to pick our date. If you're interested in joining us, we do actually kind of have a lot of fun while we're doing it. Yes, it's a lot of work, but it's as much work as you can contribute. There's a reason we have like 15 people on the team. And some areas where we have our kind of our sub teams is we have beverage and bar planning, cheese wars, vendor liaison, sponsor liaison / silent auction coordination, kids zone, volunteer, and marketing. So all this to say, if you're interested, email us at wineandcheesefest@indyholycross.org or wave at me after the meeting. If you're not already following us on socials, do that. If you use social media, you'll be the first to know when we pick our date. Any questions on the Wine and Cheese Festival? Amy?
Well, that we're seeing that we're like void, that like greenhouse cheese boxes or things like that. Is there like, suggestions I could, like, should I just email the emails?
All volunteers, sponsors, and other stakeholders got a survey that you can fill that out in, but it is absolutely already on our radar. We bought more cheese than last year, and last year's cheese lasted the entire festival. This year we ran out. So, I mean, it's tough to know when those things are going to happen, but we absolutely have that on our list of things to think about. How can we adjust to have that last longer? Yeah.
Yeah, there was like people that don't drink, if they bought the ticket, they were like, why can't you use it?
We have non-alcoholic wine and beer at the bar as well.
Available because I was in one section, so I wasn't really sure where all was good.
Sure.
That might just be not heavily.
Sure. And we try to communicate, not even when you put it out there, folks don't see it or realize it. We had QR codes with the menus throughout the venue. I mean, and suggestions from people like volunteers where you had questions. You said, hey, I got a lot of these questions. How can we help get this information out more clearly? That's great feedback for us. Absolutely. Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah. So we have neighborhood signs around the neighborhood. And if you look, a lot of them either missing or in pretty rough shape. And so we are going to be replacing those signs. We're actually in the process, the early stages of getting pole permits for anything where it might be a new sign. But if you have any information that you want to share that you've life experience, I would absolutely love to hear from you.
And then just people like you guys or you have other vendors to come in.
Oh, that's a good question. If you go on our website, you can see it a little bit. We have vendor booths, and then our sponsors at a certain level and above are afforded a booth space if they would like. So we had a couple of companies that had booths because they sponsored at a certain level. So we absolutely have a lot of community partners. Absolutely. Trini.
But you and I talked this, but the possible that we have a fence between the bounce house and the structure now. That has in 15 different languages, water, buy water here. Because that was the only complaint that I heard about the whole entire Wine and Cheese Festival, that people couldn't find where.
Trini, will you put that in your volunteer survey? Will you put that in your volunteer survey?
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? No. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, again. Thank you.
So now we have Amanda. She's our vice president for the neighborhood association, but she's going to tell us about some Mayor's Action Center reporting information.
They just click over.
Hey, okay. I have had I've had a lot of success with the Mayor's Action Center. I know that I've heard from a lot of you who have not, and I wanted to just give a couple of tips on why I think maybe I've had good luck with it, and hopefully you can find the same thing as well. And if not, then you know where to find me, so I can do it for you maybe. But when I submit things, typically it is trash dumping around the dumpster that is close to my house. I have practically on a first name basis now with the health department guy, and he calls me and we get it worked out. I also recently, and I don't want you guys to get too excited because my alley is actually a road. It's Dorman Street between Marlowe between Dorman and Dixon. It's actually a road. It has a street sign, but it's for all intents and purposes an alley. We had some new craters come in after the big rain, and they were out 2-3 days after I reported it to fill them. So here's how I do it. I typically do it on my phone because that's, it's just attached to my hand at all times. But you can also go to the website on your laptop, on your computer. It's the same thing roughly. And at the top, they have suggested requests. So these are things that common requests. If what you want doesn't fit one of those, just scroll down. They have everything else. But my tips and tricks are to be specific. Don't just say my road's a mess. Like they don't know, or there's trash out here. They can't process that. Be very specific when you're writing what the problem is. There's the place where you can upload photos. Put the photos in. Put 4 photos in from different angles. They could see that there was a hole this deep in my street that my husband was falling into every time he backed the truck out, and they came. So make sure that you're including photos. Again, it's not enough just to say, I've got a pothole. Show them and tell them. Leave your contact information. I'm not convinced that this is absolutely required because you can leave it anonymously, but I put my info. Then if they want to call me, if they want to email me, if they want to get in touch, they also send me updates on when things happen. So leave your contact info. You don't get put on a list. The Mayor's Action Center is not going to start spamming you with ads or something. That's not it. And then the last thing I would say is be patient. Don't expect something to happen the next day or even 3 days later, like I usually get. But if you don't see anything happen in a short amount of time, then be persistent and ask again. So yeah, all that to say, if you have not had good luck with the Mayor's Action Center with Request Indy, either on the app on your phone or on the website, please let me know on info@indyholycross.org, or most of you have my phone number and email address. Just let me know and I'll help you. But it can work, so don't give up. Questions? Yes, sir.
I just got a comment. If you see city workers.
Thank them.
Because you know what, they have to drive the heavy trucks down the alleys and they have to navigate.
Yep.
Well.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good, they hear it from their own people.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So
We did all the things you're talking about for over a year on the alley between Vermont and New York. The way he got up the count, kept talking to the garbage truck drivers who were hitting that hole that deep and dragging. They turned it in and we got it fixed.
this is excellent. So what we're hearing from the crowd at YouTube at home, also just speak to the municipal workers that you see. So when you see the garbage truck driver, say, hey, wouldn't you love it if this pothole wasn't here? Wouldn't you love it if this pile of trash was picked up? Use all of your resources, and be like me. When you see them actually come fill the potholes, get out there and wave your arms around and say thank you, because they love that too. So thank you guys. All right, we have a clean team in the neighborhood that's been keeping things tidy, and Trini asked if he could have a couple of minutes just to talk to people. So I want you to come up here though.
Dave, come on up here. Well, these guys are the main part of the clean team, not me. I'm just organizing and sending out text messages to get everybody to join us where here, you should be up here too. Come on. But usually when we go out, there's like 5 of us. And the 5 of us, between an hour and a half period, get an 8-hour work day done. That's why you've been seeing the islands on New York and Michigan get cleaned up and weeded and trimmed the trees yesterday. And yes, and we need to find a place to get those branches somewhere, which we think we got it covered. But we want more help. We want the women to join us. And what we're trying to do is get more organized so that we have, like, we go out on weekdays. Well, we'd like to get a weekend crew, and also the main thing that we're looking at right now is the curbs, the weeds that grow up between the curbs and the street. Let's clean those out so that the water can flow. And the one thing that people don't realize, if you live by a storm drain, Indianapolis thinks you're responsible for cleaning it. So if you would clean your storm drains and go from you so that they don't get plugged up when it does rain, we'll be able to get the water out of here. And if we get it cleaned up right now, in the wintertime, we won't have ice along our curbs. So anybody want to say anything here or want to throw something in?
I would have said, since I'm kind of the senior guy here, I've been here for like 25 years. I can't thank these guys enough for organizing this. I mean, it's just, organization is pain. And for those guys to step up, it's really something. I know Amanda and I've kind of had a vision or a hope that cleanup days were not a big deal anymore because it's being clean. And what I see now is that it's another level. People are really stepping up and taking it on and cleaning. And I would like to, Trini always talks about when he comes down Washington Street, there's a house that the islands are clean in front of it. I don't know
Or
where,
Michigan,
on Michigan?
sorry, New York.
New York, yeah.
What it is we have those islands and we've been cleaning them up, and then you get to a certain point, then there's all these houses, a sidewalk, and a space about that big in front of the curb. And those people don't clean it. So it's looking nasty. I mean, you could take a lawnmower and be on the sidewalk and the curb and go down the whole entire street one time and it'd be done. But nobody's doing it.
Yeah, I think that's where we're headed. I think the cleanup days now are not a major event because people are keeping them clean. But eventually, maybe we can get it to where neighbors are looking, just because it's in the city right away. It's close to your house, clean it up, clean the curbs. And I think we're getting there. It's amazing what this neighborhood looks like now than what it did 25 years ago. And
20 years ago, we used to work all day shoveling in the pickup truck.
yes, yeah. I mean, so it's great. I keep hearing too. I know I'm in real estate, so real estate is really hot up north. But I know people that have decided to move out of Holy Cross because they had other things going on. They sold their house in one day on Ohio Street. So, I mean, this is an investment in our neighborhood. It really is. And Holy Cross is a nice neighborhood and it's only getting better. So I'm excited for what these guys are doing. It's unbelievable. And I don't know where all this mulch comes in.
Rob's the mulch guy.
Yeah, but it just seems like people in different positions that it's come in and it's just kind of the boat is being lifted up. And it's exciting. It's exciting for an old person like me to see this happen. So
Let me
thanks.
expand on the mulch thing. Rob has got people dropping off wood chips at his house and we're going
Yeah,
back to
chip
his
drop. You can always come by my place.
Yeah, and we're taking the chips and putting them on the islands as to cover all the weeds up and keep them down and all that. And it's working great. And we could use a little more help doing that. Or the one thing that I want to do is I want to number all those islands. New York, 1, 2, 3, and maybe dedicate them to certain people and possibly in the future have competitions on whose looks prettier. I mean, it's a simple thing to do. I mean, one person could take 2 islands and there's actually, what did I come up with? 64 islands?
Something
There's
like that.
32 on New York and 31 on Michigan. It's there's a lot to do.
Question.
Well, you can transfer those efforts from the bus pad into place. Please.
Bus pads gets right
There
away.
you go with a bridge.
Yes, absolutely. We're on it.
If anybody could join us for just an hour or two, it's not like a club with commitments. You didn't do your 3 hours this week.
Yeah, no pressure.
Just show up and help.
No pressure.
Question here.
Tell us how often you guys are going out or what?
Well, see, we're trying to get
Probably
organized.
twice a week.
Yeah.
We've been
Tuesday,
trying
Wednesday,
to
Thursday are main days.
Yeah, but I wouldn't mind getting organized where we had a weekend crew. And you don't have to actually work with us. If you know that your sewers are always plugged up and there's, weeds in the street, clean that. We'll be happy to know that you did that. Send us the information.
Yeah.
Me and 3 neighbors work for 2 hours each. And that way we can add it in. And if we do go back to doing grants, we can use that hour for manpower for that.
So make sure if you want to get involved, you can send an email to info@indyholycross.org with your phone number and your name, or you can DM us on social media, and I'll make sure that the guys have your information. I will suggest there's sometimes not a lot of text. Put it on mute and check it every once in a while. But it's so much fun, and they're amazing. What's your question?
Yes.
They will print the sign next to us.
Oh, there's
Yes.
for all 30 for all
Well,
60 of them?
Yes, sir.
Like. About all of them. want to have to tell them what they.
Right, but that's going with the city, like, the Ethna is owned by two different groups of people, Tony and Chris have one side and,
Randy.
Randy has the other.
I don't prefer picture. 6 spots that they were legal, okay?
Yes.
Each property is allowed to. No dumping sites on your property, the city will supply. The procedure for that is you have to be downtown. Vice Place Park, go to metal detectors and be there before to get those. But if anybody wants to let me know their address, I'm happy to write them out. I think it was too much to ask you all to make it cover and all of that. I can get those out, so everybody.
Thank you. And then if you have noticed, we do have the Clean Teens official vest.
And you got yours. You got yours, okay.
Thank you so much, guys. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you.
Excellent. We only have a couple more things to go through. I didn't check with Cliff beforehand, but do you have any NESCO updates?
The only thing I have is Westminster's having a block party over at Westminster Neighborhood Services next Thursday, 5 to 7.
Okay, Westminster Neighborhood Services,
Westminster
5 to 7
5 to 7.
next Thursday.
Everything else has been covered by awesome people.
Okay, awesome. All right. Upcoming. So I did want to just throw this plug in. The Liederkrantz sends stuff to the neighborhood whenever they have public events coming up. Any business can do that. If you've got something that's like publicly going on in the neighborhood, just send it to the info email. We could try to share it out. But this is going on later in September. So that's right over here on Washington Street. And they always have amazing food and good music. So Art in the Park. Renee mentioned earlier, Susan Hoffman, she's been having these kind of like kid crafting things going on in the park first Saturdays. So we've got 2 more coming up for the rest of the year, September 5th and October 3rd, 10 a.m. at Highland Park. And she always has some sort of little like craft that she's come up with that she brings all the supplies, and then the kids can just kind of show up and do some art outside on a nice day. So bring your kids to that. And then the chili cook-off. So we have a date for that, Thursday, October 15th, 6 to 8 p.m. Cross your fingers real hard that it doesn't rain, because all of our mows were rained out this year. Yeah, it's not a mow, but all the mows were rained out this year. So make sure to cross your fingers that we don't get rained out. So there is a QR code. Actually, I don't know if your stuff is working because I got the little picture here. So I'll just move it real quick. There's a QR code on the screen if you want to sign up for bringing chili so that you can compete, or if you want to just bring something else, or if you really can't supply anything, that's okay. Just come and hang out, get something to eat. There was plenty of food last year. I think we had like 16 chilies or something like that. Yeah, we had a lot of chilies. So sign up. There's that's going to be going on. You have a chili cook-off announcement?
The chili cook-off, if you make a chili, please bring some cards with the recipe. People want those.
Yeah, so we don't have all the details yet, but like as far as we're going to be competing and we'll have a winner, but we don't know if there will be any prizes or anything. But okay, there will be prizes. But you'll definitely get bragging rights. So make sure you come out to that. It's always a good time. That QR code in the bottom left, that's just our event calendar. I put it on several of these slides just so it would be on there. If you want to see what's coming up for the rest of the year. I don't have a slide for the holiday party, but there is, I think, a date on the website online. But I don't have a slide for that yet. We'll talk about that at the next one of these in November. Okay, so last couple of slides here. We have our fall cleanup. I know we just kind of talked about trying to make those a thing of the past, but we do have one coming up. So Amanda's going to tell us about it.
Yes. So as far as walking down the street and picking up trash, it's not as much of a thing that we have to do like we did even 5 years ago. However, Great Indy Cleanup is still a thing, and it's still important for us to keep up the tradition. For the fall cleanup, we do not have picker trucks from the Marion County Health Department like we do in the spring. So please don't make piles outside of your house expecting someone to come whisk them away. It just will never happen. We do have a dumpster from Keep Indianapolis Beautiful that will be in the middle of the Sturm Esplanade. That is for trash. Don't put construction trash. One year we had somebody dump a bunch of kitchen cabinets in there. That's rude. Do better. But it wasn't any of you. The other thing is sometimes people want to bring a bunch of brush, and it doesn't. What we have to do is we have to have the dumpster. It can't overflow the top. So if you anticipate having a bunch of brush, we can possibly make a pile outside of the dumpster that I could get someone from the city to pick up. Hopefully they will be done with all the flood cleanup by then. We have to be mindful of that too, that our problems are much less than others right now. But if you anticipate a bunch of brush, let me know. I can try to figure something out. Otherwise, keep the stuff in the dumpster under the top. And make sure you're cleaning out your storm drains, like Trini said. That should be a weekly thing, but make sure you do it in October when we meet. We'll be at Redev. Thank you, Pat. And I'll have some coffee and donuts and tool sharing. And if you have any hot spots that you think that we should address, please, again, info@indyholycross.org comes to me. Or a lot of you have my phone number and email address personal. And if you would like me to give it to you now, I can do that as well. But I am looking forward to seeing y'all on October 24th. Thank you. Yo, question, Pat? Yes. Okay, well, I think I have my answer. I'll get in touch with, we'll have a brush pile on the Sturm Esplanade. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, just a couple more things here. Just wanted to share with everybody that Girls Night Out still going on. I think there was one last week. Gwen is here. I didn't see Chris here, but Gwen and Chris are kind of okay. Chris is in charge now. I don't have contact information for her, but if you email the info account, I can forward that on so that you can get added to the list. It's essentially just ladies in the neighborhood. Somebody volunteers their house, and then people bring drinks and snacks, and everybody just hangs out for a couple of hours and just kind of chats and chills, and it's pretty low effort. Book club is going on. ME is chairing that. I don't think I saw her tonight here either. But again, just let info@Indy Holy Cross know, and we can forward that on so that you can be added to the neighborhood book club if you want to join that. And then what?
Facebook.
Oh yeah, I didn't have a thing for it, but there's a group that gets together and they get food at different places around the area, and they call themselves the Taste Buds. Trini organizes it.
I mean, it's
Yep.
the first Friday of the month, we go out to lunch somewhere in the neighborhood. And the last one we had was a cookout at Pat's house, which was fantastic. So thank you, everybody. I mean, if you want to join in on the Taste Buds, please contact me.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of things about staying connected. I mentioned earlier, this is that same QR code. We do have an event calendar on the website. So if you're wondering what's going on, or, what was that date for the chili cook-off, that's all listed on there, and you can find that anytime you want by going to the website. We do have several ways that you can stay connected. There's Urban Times. We have neighbors that volunteer to deliver on different routes. We have all the social media at Indy Holy Cross is the handle for that. We have a Nextdoor page. And we have obviously the website, where there's a lot of good information on the website. Pretty much anything you want to know about the neighborhood, you can find there. For the Urban Times, we do have some calls for volunteers. You may have seen this in the newsletter that went out a week or two ago. There is routes on Summit from Ohio to New York, and on State from Washington to New York on the west side of the street that are looking for permanent replacements. So if anybody really loves getting that Urban Times and you want to get out and you want to help make sure that everybody's still getting that, please send an email to the info account and I can hook you up with the person that can kind of like give you all the details about where to pick up the papers and you know, how it all works. Also, we have a neighbor who runs the route on Arsenal from Washington to New York. And she's going to need some temporary help just for the months of October and November. So if anybody wants to help that person out, please send an email to info and I can forward that on as well. Supporting the neighborhood, we have voluntary annual dues for the neighborhood association of $20 per household per year. It's pretty much been that amount for 20 years. But that is the money that we use for paying, for example, for the Zoom account that I'm using right now to record the meeting so we can put it on YouTube later. A couple other expenses like that. We used the money that we've been collecting in that account to pay for the electrical installation on the Sturm Esplanade. So there's a few different things that we can do to kind of help keep things running and maintain some stuff. If you are willing and able and you would like to contribute, we don't keep tabs. We don't really have a list of names or anything like that. It's it's very voluntary, but it's very much appreciated. And then these are all the upcoming dates for everything that's happening for pretty much the rest of the year. We've got one more association board meeting happening in October. If anybody wants to join that association board, again, please email info@indyholycross.org. Anyone's welcome to join. We do meet on Zoom. The next one of these meetings, the association member meeting, will be here again on November 19th. So we'll see you there. And then the foundation is meeting in September. They have in-person meetings. And if anybody wants to help out with the foundation, there are like minimum number of positions, but I believe they're open to additional people helping out. So please reach out if you would like to do more with the foundation. I have a question from.
Will be still on the 26th.
That's been postponed. Not sure what's going to happen with that. We're trying to figure out if the electrical is going to work or like what's going to happen, but that date probably won't be the one that we originally had. So if it does happen, it's going to be a different date. We'll get the word out when we know. I know. And then finally, just thank you for coming to the meeting. I very much appreciate everybody being here. Here's a few of the QR codes that you saw through the course of the meeting. Dues payment, calendar online, Holy Cross neighborhood merch. So please take advantage of those if you're interested. And I think I had one more hand up. Yeah. Yeah. One last thing.
This is just a point that I think I wanted to make when I was presenting, but I think if you haven't picked up on already, between the Wine and Cheese Festival, the Clean Team, now we're hoping to do the short-term rental committee thingy, Holy Cross, like kitty TNR efforts. Like, I think that I just want to call out that we have a lot of people working independently who really care about our neighborhood. Like, I truly love our neighborhood because of every friend that we've met. And like, there's so many good people that live right here in our communities. And I think that, I just want to point out that there's power in collective effort too. So like, you're already putting in a lot of individual effort into beautifying your home and your immediate block. And I think what we're starting to see a lot more of with all of these different groups that we have is that there's power in working together. So I just wanted to thank everyone, myself personally, for participating in that, and just encourage anybody else, especially as we get a lot of new neighbors, to extend that hand out to them, encourage them to be a part of something, because at the end of the day, everybody is just trying their best to make their homes safe, beautiful, and fun. So anyway, that's something I specifically wanted to call out, because it's like, I know that a lot of neighbors like are trying to combat certain issues on their own. It's like, hey, if we work together, we'll actually go a lot farther. So anyway, that's the last thing I would say.
All right, that's it for the meeting. Thank you.